Check out the narrative framing to this, Phil. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bitcoin lures inflation-weary Argentines despite crypto crash. It's a lot of bullshit in a condensed thing. The reason that we cover so much of the legacy media, right, whether that's Reuters, whether that's the New York Times, whether that's the Financial Times, is because this is what the elites are reading. These are the publications, the people that are big fans of central bank digital currencies and a one world government. That's what they read. And unfortunately for them, plebs happen to get a subscription to these publications. So we're reading what they're reading. Check out the narrative framing to this, Phil. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bitcoin lures inflation-weary Argentines despite crypto crash. It's a lot of bullshit in a condensed thing, right? Think about the narrative that they're trying to shape, right? Is that because people are inflation-weary, they're going into crypto, but it's weird because crypto crashed. It's so strange, right? Remember, guys, you think that this is not a coincidence the way they frame this. Framing is very important in order to craft a narrative. So it's very important to pay attention to how they phrase it, because that's a lot of signal, because that's what they're afraid of it. Anyways, check this out, Phil. Your blood's gonna boil on this one. Savers in the South American nation are increasingly being drawn to cryptocurrency to offset years of painful inflation, now running near 60%, shrugging off a recent market crash. I don't know what this has to do with it, but check this out, Phil. And El Salvador's troubled experiment with virtual tender. Okay, so savers in South American nation are increasingly being drawn to cryptocurrency to offset years of painful inflation. But we want to let you know that crypto had a recent 60% crash. Don't pay attention to the inflation. Pay attention to the recent crash. The local environment is pushing people to protect their capital in cryptocurrencies, and so we see growth speeding up, said Mauro Lieberman, one of the founders of the cafe, which is aimed at promoting the use of digital tender. Throughout Latin America, the growth potential is enormous, he said, adding that most local users were buying it as a way to hoard their savings, which goes back to what Michael Saylor was saying yesterday about how Bitcoin is the most equitable, I use the word, baby, to the equitable financial system that exists, right? Why are they hoarding their savings in crypto, even though it had a recent 60% crash? Because it can't be debased or easily confiscated by the government. It's an avalanche that won't stop, that won't be stopped. This is an Argentinian user saying that, not simply Bitcoin. An April report from America's Market Intelligence showed crypto penetration in Argentina was 12%, around double the level of Mexico and Brazil. Adoption in hyperinflation plagued Venezuela is even higher. Isn't that quite a coincidence, Phil? That in the countries with the highest crypto, Bitcoin and shitcoin adoption, for some reason, those are the countries that also happen to have the worst inflation. Oh, well, you look at that. And then you got to ask yourself why they would frame the name of the article that way. Duh. Okay, anyways. The draw is a lack of confidence in the local peso currency. No shit, Sherlock, which has appreciated 14% this year against the dollar. Capital controls limiting foreign exchange to $200 monthly are also spurring crypto adoption. No shit, Sherlock. Basically, it's because I lose less, he said. With an Argentine inflation of between 60 to 70% and fixed terms paying 30 to 35%, it just doesn't work. The central bank has warned repeatedly about the risk of investing in volatile digital currencies. Okay, all right. Hold on there, Mr. Central Bank, because unfortunately for you guys, right, not only does Simply Bitcoin have the receipts, we also are subscribed to all the bullshit legacy media that you guys have, so we're able to fact check you in real fucking time. Sucks for you. So let's talk about the central bank, shall we? Here's the Argentinian peso, and here's the percentage in terms of how far it's gone down compared to Bitcoin. This is 3 years. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me, but that says 89.88%. And in 5-year terms, that's 99.05%. In a 1-year term, that is in a 7.14%. So that title is grade A bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's trying to paint a narrative that isn't based on reality, right? Moving on. Sebastian, and I'll get to why they're trying to paint that narrative in a sec. Sebastian, 23, from a poor Escobar neighborhood outside the capital, has little to lose. He is looking to dig himself out of poverty using a homemade cryptocurrency mine he assembled with recycled computer parts from his work. I repaired the things, put it together in a computer, he told Reuters, at his home, where he had screens showing how the mining is going. He started with Ethereum, then Bitcoin. Check this out, Phil, which is why they have to rely on the narrative, which allowed him to buy some land and go back to school. I'll keep mining because it's a good way of savings. Now, you have to question yourself, right? Why is it that they would like they're shaping the narrative like this? Even though if you dig down deep in the article, it looks like it's actually helping people. If you actually look at the Argentinian peso as it relates to Bitcoin, the Argentinian peso, as much as the central bank would like you to believe, the Argentinian peso has crashed 90% in 3 years compared to Bitcoin, and has crashed 99% in 5 years compared to Bitcoin. Now let me tell you why Reuters is trying to shape an article like this. If you remember, not too long ago, the IMF asked Argentina to discourage the use of Bitcoin. Do you know how maniacal that is? If Argentinians saved in Bitcoin, they would have 99% more purchasing power than if they didn't. But the IMF is not interested in that. The foreign debt refinancing agreement signed between the Argentinian government and International Monetary Fund also contained a provision asking the Latin American country to discourage the use of cryptocurrencies. The request was included as part of a set of monetary and fiscal policies to which the nation is committed in order to have longer payment terms. So the IMF essentially blackmailed the Argentinian government. It was not too long ago, it was March 17, 2022, to say, hey, you can't use those cryptocurrencies. Why? Because it takes away power from the IMF, which is why you have articles like this trying to say is like, oh, well, like these crazy people. How could they be seeking refuge? They need us. But here's the thing, and here's the reality, here's the facts. The Argentinian people would have been significantly better off if they saved in Bitcoin. And you know who's against that? The IMF. What is the IMF? What is their purpose? The original purpose says that the internet, this is from their website, the International Monetary Fund works to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for all of its 190 member countries. Prosperity? Prosperity? That's what you call prosperity? Hold on, let me pull it up again, okay? So you guys can have in your mind. Argentinian peso, 99% down. And you force the Argentinian, you're trying to strong arm, coerce the Argentinian people by bribing their politicians not to be able to save? Even though there's two stories that they put down in the article, two Argentinians that are saying it's an avalanche that can't be stopped, and some very poor person that lived in a poor neighborhood used Bitcoin to get out of poverty and go to school. So IMF, whose side are you really on, IMF? Are you in the side of the people that you claim to want prosperity for the world? Nah, it looks like you guys are in it for power and control, and that's what you've always been it for, and that's why you reached out to the Central African Republic. That's why you reached out to El Salvador. You don't give two flying fucks about the people of El Salvador. You don't give two flying fucks about the people in the Central African Republic. You don't give two flying fucks about people in general. What you are concerned about is power and control, and Bitcoin, like it shines the light of truth on everything, has shined the light on truth on you guys, and your days are numbered. You won't survive 2 decades. Bitcoin is coming to eat you alive. Phil?
Dude, bullish. Very bullish on your comments to that. Man. So look, that article is incredibly disingenuous. Bitcoin lures, just the title, right? Just the title alone creates this negative connotation behind it. Now, if we zoom out and look at this article, what did they do, right? They attack attacked. Bitcoin was attacked throughout the article, and like you said, right 3/4 of the way through, they explain that there's two ways in which people are actually being helped by Bitcoin. Okay, so but something about the mainstream media that they understand very well. Who's going to get through that article, Nico? Someone like you who's digging for signal, right? But the average person is just going to read that headline. That's all they're going to do. They're going to read that headline and they're going to say, well, Bitcoin's bad and look what's happening. It's luring people in because inflation is dangerous. You know, like it's just complete and utter nonsense. The other piece that I want to bring up about this is the random mention of El Salvador being a failed experiment, right? And the 60% drop. Do you want to know what's really pathetic? What's really pathetic is that Bitcoin has had the drop that it has and it still retains its value better than the dollar.
Dude, it's up 245% in the last 2 years, dude.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. It's like they sit there and they are essentially banking. They are banking on the fact that people can't do math. They're banking on the fact that people are confused. They're banking on the fact that people are tired, not paying attention. They're going to look at that number and they're going to go, see, you can't store your value. It just dropped 60%. Not even realizing that what you just showed in 5 years span, the Argentinian peso went down 99% against Bitcoin in a 5-year span. Who's volatile? And volatile to what side? I'd rather take my volatility to the upside. I am still like, I haven't seen a reason why we shouldn't be championing Bitcoin yet. I haven't found it yet. Been doing this for 5 years now, 6 years. I haven't found it yet. I find it's only improving lives. Low time preference behavior, forcing people to look and think about the future in a different way. This is not negative. These guys, like, look, it's like you said, man, the IMF, they don't win. And to your point, okay? To your point, they enslave all these countries with SDRs under the guise of help, right? SDRs, as we've explained in the past, is another layer of fake money that is created out of absolutely nothing because they use a basket of other currencies to back it. And those currencies come from nothing. This is all just smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors. And for some reason, we're all playing along. Bitcoin makes it so that we can stop playing along. Anyways, that's, yeah, I'm shocked, man. I shouldn't say that I'm shocked. I'm disappointed. That's really what it is. But are we surprised? We're not.
No,
we're not surprised. And we know that this is just going to intensify because, let's face it, the mainstream media, the corporate-owned media, every person who is a proponent of the money spigot is not going to quit. They are not going to stop. Imagine getting endless power doing nothing. Mm-hmm. You're never going to let go of this.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. No, it's crazy.